born on November 22nd, 1969, in Rhode Island, the only child in a progressive family. Satrapi studied at the French Lyceum until the suppression of bilingual schools by the Islamic authorities arising from the 1979 revolution. She and her family lived with pain the restrictions of individual liberties, repression, the imposition of the female veil, and the outbreak of the Iran-Iraq War. In 1983, when she was 14, her parents decided to send her to study at the French Lyceum in Vienna, Austria, so that she could complete her secular education and allow her to develop in a less oppressive environment than in her native country. The Shah Reza came to power in Iran in 1925 through a coup d'etat overthrowing the Shah of the Kharid dynasty. It has the support of the British, who proposed their collaboration in exchange for agreements to exploit the oil. They convinced him to abandon his republican ideas and self-proclaim the Shah of Persia. In 1979, waves of protests against the Shah began. People claimed a new state in Iran, democratic and just a republic. The protests continued, and the Shah lashed out at them with violence. After the Great Party of the Shah's abdication, political elections will be held that will formulate the new Iranian state, the Islamic Republic of Iran. In just 1 year, there was a very important social and religious change. You had to wear a headscarf, the school was no longer secular and free, the boys and girls were separated in different schools. Another change reflected in society after the revolution was that many people who were formerly modern and not religious now showed themselves as religious fundamentalists so as not to contradict the regime and to show themselves as faithful followers of Islamic morality. In 1980, Iraq took advantage of the weakening of the Iranian state after the revolution and decided to invade the country. Saddam Hussein believed that he would win an easy victory because he would have Western support and because Iran was weak after the revolution. Many members of the army were dead or imprisoned because they were against the new regime. Contrary to what Hussein thought, this was a long war of 8 years that cost more than 1 million lives, and it didn't have a clear winner. The war was used by the new republic as a form of consolidation of the new state.
The story begins at 1980 in Iran. Marjan Satrapi, the author, is being forced to wear a veil at her school. What causes Marjan to feel bad? The boys and the girls are now separated, and it changed everything. From this event, everything started to go wrong in the country of Marjan. Marjan's mother and father often attend to political protest, which is very dangerous for them. They support revolutionaries when they can, including many of Marjan's relatives like Uncle Anush, that teach a lot of her, but he dies. Because of her relatives, her mother, father, grandma, and uncle, Marjan passions lie in social activism. At a young age, she wants to fix social inequalities and make the world into a place where all don't have to suffer. During the war, everything becomes more strict, making it harder to live normally. Marjan's parents bought items to Marjan, like posters and sneakers, after their trip to Turkey. People start criticizing Marjan for the way she dresses and nearly arrest Marjan. Many things begin to happen at the war. One day, Marjan's neighbor's home gets destroyed. At first, Marjan thought that her own house was hit. Nevertheless, Marjan is traumatized when she sees the arm of her friend in the street. Marjan starts to growing up, but she is expelled from her school for sharing her opinions. Marjan's family thinks is the best. Marjan continues her education in a country that will afford her more freedom. Marjan leaves her family and makes her way to her new life in Vienna.
She is the main character of the comic that tells us the whole story from her point of view and her personal experiences. The story begins with Margine at the age of 10 and ends with her leaving the country at the age of 14. As a child, she is a little revolutionary with an overflowing imagination and dreams of becoming a prophet, and God speaks to her. During the story, it is seen with Margine dealing with topics such as a word and lack of freedom. They were very modern, progressive, and avant-garde. They went to demonstrations against the regime that the Shah had imposed, against the headscarf, and against the reposition. They always looked for the best for their daughter to grow up. She is a hard, independent, and progressive woman who also knows how to give the best advices on earth, according to Margine. He is the nephew of the family. He trusts his values and ideals above all things. For Margine, he is the hero of the family due to his imprisonment for so many years.
In the Book of Marjan, there are many conflicts that help to learn about history. An example of that is the revolution in the country of Marjan, being the trigger of many years of tyranny. Another conflict are the great massacres that the book mentions, which was a consequence of the internal conflicts that the country had at that moment. The book also mentions many demonstrations that were made that were too violent for Marjane and her family and friends. Finally, the book shows us the biggest conflict, that was the war that happened in the country of Marjan, that had many repercussions in her life, being the cause of many died.